Hello and welcome to Joe Kakaka. I'm Jim.
I'm Sam.
And this really isn't like a normal Joe Kakaka.
It's a Fujimoto special.
Yeah, it's the Fujimo Cast 2.0.
Yeah, there's no Chainsaw Man. We didn't do an episode on the last.
So I think what I called the Fujimo Cast before was when we had Meti on.
Yeah. I guess that's when we did all that one shot from there.
Because that was when we talked about what's called Look Back.
Yeah.
Which was really good. So basically, if you're not familiar, we're going to be talking about the new one shot by Tatsuki Fujimoto called Goodbye Eri. So as
200 pages.
Yeah, 200 pages. So basically almost like a volume.
Yeah.
As Sam said, Tatsuki Fujimoto is the writer of Chainsaw Man, the mangaka behind Chainsaw Man, everyone's favorite.
Chainsaw Man and Fire Punch.
He also did Fire Punch. Also known for having a very strange Twitter account where he pretends to be his sister, who's an elementary schooler.
I did not know that.
Also,
I did not know that.
I've read most of I guess I've read about half his stuff because I still haven't finished Fire Punch. It's like the one manga that I just can never bring myself to finishing.
I got very little into it. I did not enjoy it.
I feel like I have enough in it to talk about regarding to this because it like very much Tatsumaki, or sorry, I shouldn't say Tatsumaki. That's fucking that's One Punch Man. So I got the mans in my head. Fujimoto is very fixated on film. I feel like film is something that always comes up in his work.
Two things: film and the manic pixie dream girl.
Kind of, yeah.
He's always loved that character. I feel
it is kind of a thing, and it's funny because like the whole term manic pixie dream girl is like that's a kind of like a decade old. I think that term is like about a decade old, and it really describes something at the time, and now it's kind of evolved into like something completely different. But it kind of is applicable here. To this story. So obviously,
and also like Chainsaw Man in many occasions in Chainsaw Man.
It happens a few times in Chainsaw Man. Yeah, and the way that it's subverted, I think, is really fun, especially in this one.
Yeah. First, Fujimoto, he like everybody's kind of waiting for Chainsaw Man, but it's like I'm always impressed because like every time I see manga, it's always they tell like like a long story. Like, it's always but like but with him, he just goes these one shots. He tells short story. Like it's so different. I see like a short story author as well as their long running series. It's like
for a guy who's had I can't remember what publication Fire Punch was in, but Chainsaw Man was in Jump. Chainsaw Man was in Shonen Jump, and
this is posted in Shonen Jump as well.
Well, this kind of. So
at least on the online version.
So technically Jump Plus is a different publication. So Jump Plus is online only.
Well, I got it off of the Shonen Jump app of reading this. So
yes, but that's that's part of it. But so like technically this isn't published in the official magazine. And apparently like going forward, I don't think Chainsaw Man would be. But all of Chainsaw Man was published in Jump, which is crazy because
some of the spreads.
Yeah, some of the spreads are crazy. But I feel like you can really like I don't know. Like, there's a lot of discussion. I feel like I talked to so many, like, manga hipsters who have, like, all these opinions who don't think, like, Chainsaw Man's that good. I think Chainsaw Man's, like, great.
Yeah.
I really love it. I think it's for shonen manga. It's, like, it kind of breaks a lot of boundaries. It really doesn't fall into, like, the shonen battle manga trap that a lot of other manga do.
It also just going to fall into the when something gets popular, people are going to hate it.
Yeah, there's always that.
And the fact that it's, like, a manga on itself that didn't need, like, an anime to get that huge popularity boost, like like Demon Slayer is like one of them that got that popularity boost.
Yeah,
Jujutsu Kaisen, I feel like
I can't even think of the last time that there was such a breakout manga that like everyone talked about.
Cause like even Attack on Titan, that first season like skyrocketed popularity.
Yeah,
but yeah, I can't really think of anything like that.
So it's gonna be crazy to see when the anime comes out how much more it blows up because like
even like it didn't come off of something huge. Like Fire Punch was like I felt like a cult. Like a cult hit, I guess it feels like.
People definitely discussed it before Chainsaw Man came out.
Yeah, and because it also didn't have an adaptation as well, it felt like a cult movie, but like a manga of one. Where people liked it, but like it was like it felt like a cult classic horror movie, like of like kind of fucked up, like those weird Italian fucked up horror movies. That just like that tastes not for everybody, but there are those people that just love that shit and eat it up.
What's the one? Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, like
I always think of that as a fucking horrible movie.
But that's what I always find like interesting about him. It's just like he just good. Like he's good at what he does and just got his popularity despite not even having anime adaptation or like selling millions of figures of just like one waifu in particular.
Well, soon.
Well,
that's what
it only
Makima...
there's only a Denji and a power of Nendo right now.
There's like so much merch with Makima though, like
Of
the
course,
bald
Ball Makima,
yeah.
Ball.
Makima.
But yeah, Makima, the Makima sells merch despite like.
There is actually a huge Makima figure. Have you seen it?
I saw our friend posted. I think our one group chat.
Yeah, it's like
it's insane. It's one of the like $1,000 figures probably.
It's massive. It's like her on like a huge pile of like debris and corpses. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I'm a huge fan of his work. I've read most of his other one shots.
Yeah.
I can't. So there's a few. There's one that like always sticks out to me because it feels very real. It's basically like it almost feels like a hentai one shot in a way. It's not though. It's not hentai.
Well, I mean, going by his other work, I'm not. Yeah, it wouldn't be too far.
But it has a kind of a hentai premise where it's like a guy wakes up as a girl, and it's like the setup feels like it could be like a hentai, but the way that it's handled is actually really grounded. Like, so there's like a thing in this world called like turn into a girl disease.
Yeah, that's like standard like gender bender like plot device.
And it's literally just like he goes to the doctor and they're like, oh well. I don't know the guy's name, like Denji. Oh, well, Denji, you woke up and you're a girl now. Like, this is going to be your life. There's like 0.01% chance you'll turn back. Like, sorry.
The gender swap devil.
Basically. But it's a really interesting story because it deals with how ostracized this main character feels now that they were a man, now they're a woman, and they're, of course, in middle school. So, because it's anime and everything has to take place in middle school. But it talks about, like, so the men want to take advantage of her. I guess we'll call her because it's a girl now. And the girls
don't feel comfortable.
They feel like they're upset and like uncomfortable by her. So she really just doesn't fit in, and it almost feels like a trans allegory.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first. I think we discussed it with Mehdi about a lot of stuff with Fujimoto like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's explicitly a trans character in Fire Punch.
Yeah, I know that.
Which is also crazy because I feel like you don't really. I don't know. You do see trans characters in anime and manga, but it's like, it's hard.
Yeah.
They're not always done
It's very
well.
hard, or it's either like a butt of a joke, or like, you know.
It's like, what? You have a penis? Like.
It's like there's very few things that do that. Like, the Yakuza game actually has like a side story where you encounter a trans character,
Yes.
and the main character's very like accepting of it, or like he's like, I don't care, like it's like cause I think just one time he beats up because like I don't care if you're a man or a woman, like I beat up anybody that is like a horrible person like that. Like, wow, Kiryu, you're the fucking like most base protagonist.
Yeah, I
ever.
actually looked into that, and apparently that was actually added in a new edition of that. So
I'm not surprised.
In the original version, there is, I guess you would say, more like standard reaction to it, where I guess he like runs away from her or something.
Yeah.
But in one of the newer editions, or I don't know if they did
it may
like
have
a
been
remaster.
one. It may have been one Kiwami, which was like an updated version of the original game with like the modern engine.
Maybe
it's
it's
probably that.
But I know, yeah, I've seen that. People always share that one, where I think his line is like, everyone has challenges in life. Some people's challenges are harder than others. You're one of those people. Like, it's a very like touching scene.
It's good, and it makes going through this game. The Kiryu is great. He's like one of the like best, one of my favorite like just tough guy main characters, but just like he's the most understanding person.
Yeah, but kind of. So we haven't really talked too much about Goodbye Eri.
No, but we kind of like the basic of a Fujimoto, like why we like him.
Yeah. So. Going forward, I would say full spoilers for Goodbye Eri.
It's been out for like a week or two, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's been like 2 weeks. So I read it twice. Also, just a little warning: we might spoil a little bit of Chainsaw Man here and there.
I mean, if you haven't already read Chainsaw Man,
it's just more so. I think I really will be talking more about Fire Punch than Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, I figure because I know about a lot of stuff that's in there ties more to that.
Yes.
So you can help me through this. So yeah, where do we begin? I guess the basic plot is basically our main character, Yuta. I'm gonna be like thinking of like fucking like
Jujutsu Kaisen. I know that was me the whole time too. I kept thinking of
because it's very fresh in our minds still.
The new Jujutsu Kaisen movies. The main character's named Yuta.
So basically, he gets a phone to record his mother like every day with her because she's dying from a illness
on his 12th birthday. So he's just entering middle school.
Yes, and basically just asks them to film everything essentially.
So the way that. Like, I think it's really important. Almost every page has the same panel layout of, like, 4 wide panels.
3 or 4 of, like... And that's what I love about... He always... Like, Fujimoto always does this of just seeing, like having the same panel, but you can see the expression, or it would symbolize, like, awkward silence or something.
Yes.
But you do see, like, the small changes in that, too. So it's not, like a Greg Land comic thing, just, like, reusing the same image.
Yeah. No, there's so much meaning in, like, the reused panels. And there's portion where I think there's like 3 pages of just the 4 panels over and over again, but they're all black, and it's like, I don't know, it like the paneling. That's what I love about these one shots that he's been doing. It really gives him a room to explore like a new idea. So this is very focused on a few ideas, and rather than like kind of shoehorn it in, like I would say like in Chainsaw Man, there's like those movie theater chapter, or that one movie theater chapter that almost feels like a shoehorned in version of this.
Yes.
Like, whereas this, the whole point of it, like from the structure to the paneling, is all about like filming and like cinema, and
he also just like could draws like the camera focusing and like
which is great, and that adds so much too, because it adds a lot of movement to it, and also there are some scenes where it starts out the everything's framed perfectly, like he's filming it intentionally,
and they're not focused though. The character.
No, initially they will be. Well, so you see, like there's a bit of a learning curve when he's younger.
Yeah.
But so it'll start a scene and things are focused, and then when it kind of cuts into like real life, things get more distorted. They get more blurry. It's very clever. It's a really smart way of using this format.
A lot of like blurring reality and the movie itself, which I love. Also, the recurring gag of him like loving to film cats in the wild.
Yeah, the cats. I love the pooping jokes. There's some really good poop jokes in this.
Very, very Fujimoto. Just like I can still get my crude humor in here, despite this like tearful subject.
Yeah. So as I think you said, like the whole premise is his mom gets Yuta a camera phone so that he will film her up into her death, because she has some terminal illness. Very vague. Everything's very vague.
All the illnesses are vague.
Yeah, we never get a name for any of the illnesses in this. But it's almost like it's not important and we shouldn't care about it.
It's an illness. You don't need to know what illness is. You can just use your imagination to fill in what you think it is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we kind of continue that, and until like his mother's like actually dying, and his dad wants to bring him to the hospital, and when he runs away before he gets to the front door, because that's something you can't have a kid. Really, it's hard for a kid to deal with.
And that was her final request: was I want you to film me till the moment I die,
which is fucked up for a 12-year-old.
Which is horrible.
Yeah,
which I'm so happy. So the story acknowledges this later, but when I read that, I was like, what the fuck? Like that's hard. Like immediately, I was like deep into the story because how emotional this kind of like first part of it is. And then we have the iconic scene where he runs away from the hospital, and then it seems to go into slow-mo.
His Joker scene.
And it literally fucking blows up with a million explosions behind him.
It's 4 explosions but the thing is, you don't see the hospital actually getting shattered or anything, so it's just, you can tell it actually is.
He did like After Effects. Yeah. He downloaded like an After Effects app to.
And then it goes through a million explosions, but still nothing parts ever happen.
And then, so the first time we actually get a 2-page spread, this is like the first time it like explicitly cuts from being filmed by him with his camera.
Yeah.
Like there are very few times where it actually cuts away from what Yuta himself is filming, and we see the auditorium full of kids who are all watching it.
I was actually on a second read through, see if I spot like Eerie.
Her? Yeah, yes, I was thinking that too. Yeah, no, I don't think she's in the
not,
crowd, because like we do learn later that she wears glasses, and we don't really see any girls with glasses.
Glasses and a retainer.
Yeah, a dental retainer.
But yeah, so basically the kids kind of hate it. They all kind of make jokes about it. His dad kind of gives him shit for like, why would you do that to honor your mother? Like,
well, that's not his dad, is it?
I thought it was his dad, because he said or maybe it's not his dad.
No, I think this is supposed to be a teacher.
It probably is a teacher, but yeah, a teacher also should have fucking. If a kid makes a movie in like some kind of like it's like fair or like talent show thing, you probably should screen it just in case, because kids are horrible.
It's
teenagers
true.
are horrible. They could literally just have a 20-minute video of him shitting in the field, and like you definitely should have like pre-watched it. But then again, it's incompetence, adult incompetence, as we come to know in many media.
Yeah, but so. It cuts back, and we see Yuta is like actually physically filming all of these encounters. So him talking with his other classmates, them saying how bad it is. One girl in particular. So there's one girl in a headband. She's kind of like the important one to mention. She also had a mom that died, and she's upset not because of like the subject matter, but like the fact that he put the explosion at the end. Like, that's kind of her big thing. It's like, how could you make light of this? So it kind of shows that there is something there. Like, what we experience is what they experience. Like, there's a lot of, like, real emotion and, like, character painting in that.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoy.
And then again, the thing with like of her, she has it more than anybody else, but she has that 4 panel thing of like you can kind of see what she's thinking. Like she's in that in between thought there, that second panel. I really just love that, like the way it's like framed. I think that's the best way to frame this kind of like thought process of somebody in this 4 kind of rectangle panel thing.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's also it's really relatable too, because if you think about it, we're kind of looking through his eyes through this. We're looking through Yuta's eyes. So characters looking away, like most of the time characters are looking right at him. So they're with eye contact with you, which is kind of like a sin, quote unquote, a sin in filmmaking. Like you're not supposed to have your actors looking right at the camera because it's almost like a fourth wall breaking
But it's
thing.
also filmed like a documentary, so
But even in documentaries too, they'll have them look like off to the side. Like I don't know, unless it's like the presenter looking at the camera. Normally, like it's they try and avoid that. If you look in film, you'll notice it.
But then, he basically wants to go to the hospital where his mom died and kill himself. They said, "Hey, Dad, send this to all the kids that made fun of me because fuck them kids."
I love this scene where he puts the camera up, sits down, he's like, "Hey, y'all, this goes out to everyone who made fun of me." It feels like such a relatable like YouTuber thing. Like, all right, guys, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
And fuck them people. You're assholes for shitting on my movie. Gonna go up and jump off this ledge. Hopefully, no dream girl, pixie
Dream Girl
appears.
So then that's where he encounters Eri for the first time, which I love that she's like, "Hey, if you're gonna like kill yourself, can I have your wallet? Like, do you got any cash?"
Also, don't do it at this hospital. Like, go to the other hospital down the road because they're asshole doctors.
Yeah.
So also here, she didn't have her glasses or her retainer. It seems.
So, okay, yeah, we're going to kind of be talking about this, I guess. So, there's a lot of things we learn later in the story.
Yes.
And they really paint the picture that the whole story that we get has been
The stuff recorded
film.
for the
Like,
movie.
Everything has been edited. Everything is for
There are
a movie.
there are some fake moments that we do see that are recorded for the movie.
Yeah.
But this is probably more so recorded, but for the most part. But it's still probably like how the scenario happened is probably real though, like with like him wanting to go kill himself and probably meeting her at the hospital because also she's at the hospital because she's also sick, as we learn.
Yeah, which there's a lot of like little lampposting of that. But so I think it's kind of an important discussion. So we're already here. We're already talking about it. Like there's so many levels of reality to this that are like, it's really hard to pinpoint actually what is real because we don't really know if anything in this story is real. Like the whole point of this that we learn later is that through editing and through film, you can create a reality that looks like real reality, but even with like a pinch of fantasy, it could be so different from like what is real and like how people actually are.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost hard to take anything like to believe anything that he's presenting.
He could have just been to the hospital. He probably did her thinking about killing himself, but he could have just met her there, or like, you know, her maybe the conversation of like, oh wait, you're actually, you know, you're the guy who made that movie, and I really, you know, and she that whole discussion it probably is real, but like, you know, they
could have met before this. They could have like, there's so much that we don't see intentionally, and it's like it's just kind of fun to fill in the blanks yourself and imagine the relationships the characters had that aren't shown.
Yeah,
but so the whole point here is that she kind of stops him from killing himself. And then, as a manic pixie dream girl does,
grabs his hand, drags him away to an abandoned building where she just has a movie collection and the projector ready to go, and they watch Fight Club.
I love that. Yes, I love. There's a few references.
It's just like literally every like fucking dude bro's dream of just a girl taking him away to watch Fight Club in an abandoned building.
Also,
Kyle's dream girl.
Another thing. So there's a lot of discussions they have while watching the movies, which are really charming. But the one that I think is really interesting is this very first one, where she kind of doesn't talk to him because she doesn't talk to him at first. She's like, no talking to her in the movie, and then afterward, he's like, why are we doing this? Like, what is this? Who are you? Yeah, like, did you own this place? And she kind of explains like that she really legitimately enjoyed his movie, but it had a ton of faults.
Yeah, there are some issues, but I genuinely loved, especially the ending. Like, I love the ending and everything because I got the point of like why you added that and everything.
Yeah, like she even says like it's cathartic. Because this is the first time a character acknowledges how fucked up it is that his mom is like, I want you to film my dying brother.
Also, he stays away. They stay up to 2 a.m., which is like, Jesus.
But on a school night.
On a school night, and his dad probably having a heart attack. But also supposed to be movie stuff as well, which is like funny.
But so the one thing too here is she's like, have you seen movies? Like, Have you watched movies?
Only made for TV movies.
Yeah, he's watching like recut like movies on TV, and she's like, no. We're gonna watch
uncultured swine.
Yeah, minimum 3 movies a day, every day. We're gonna get you culture. We're gonna watch Fight Club. We're gonna watch Call Me by Your Name.
We're gonna watch The Dark Knight.
Presumably. But so this kind of like begins like this really charming relationship they have where they really are like the only people that kind of relate to each other. Yuta has like a hilarious moment where he's like he films himself and he's like, all right, I'm back home.
Hey people, don't kill yourself. Life is great. You can find your own managed pixie dream girl.
Which to me that's hilarious because because I think now he's supposed to be like maybe 13, 14. That is such like a hilarious like way because like as a teenager you're so like your emotions are so crazy that you really will be like, damn, I'm gonna kill myself, and then a girl like smiles at you like, you know what, actually the world's good and great, and
and like this could have been like a real thing he filmed afterwards, just like him kind of like venting about it after meeting her and like like
because I mean like he definitely, and he talks about it later even too, where he was like he just liked the idea
and like
of
you
being
said
with her.
when we were talking about looking at the camera, he's not really looking at the camera during that moment either. It's till like the very end to say goodbye. So like you just see like more of him venting, but yeah, then she's at school. Like, that was the few times you really see her at school.
Yeah. Another thing too. So she kind of the whole thing is like she wants him to make a movie. She wants him to make a sequel. It's kind of like a redemption arc.
But like she doesn't want to. She wants to see his movie and doesn't want like any like she doesn't want her input into it really, other than just like do you.
So it becomes like, okay, you need to. Like, I'm going to vet your script. So I want you to make a script, I'll vet it. And that's kind of like why they're watching all these movies.
Yeah.
And then also there's a part where she's like, she loves like Hollywood. She's like, which I think is really
like a
funny.
Fire Punch character.
Fire Punch, very referential movies. I actually couldn't believe how
it's very
much this was restrained at referencing other movies. Like he really like held back.
We got sort of Nightclub and sort of Matrix, so that's all we got.
With the Matrix, there's a few movie covers I don't recognize. I know Call Me by Your Name is explicitly.
We're also looking at manga. There's like Kill Nutrition. Was that like in the last one shot?
Kill Nutrition. I don't remember.
I remember there was a manga, like there were a bunch of manga in there. I wasn't sure if that was like a reference to the last one.
Oh, it might have been. I didn't catch that if it was.
Yeah, probably not. But I thought that'd be cool if a reference to that. But yeah, also another thing because like, it cuts back to them watching movies and like them out like just hanging out together, and like her outfit like only sort of changes sometimes. Like it's mostly her school uniform. She only has like her casual outfit like once or twice.
Yeah.
Which is I probably something, but my brain is too small to think about it.
That's actually I never even thought about that. I mean, like it makes sense because they probably go right from school.
But he's always in different like he's in more different outfits for the most part. I guess it's the summer outfit and like the winter outfit.
Oh, I think you're right.
But hers stays the same the entire time for the school uniform.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even notice that. But.
If Persona taught me one thing, everybody has 2 school uniforms, winter and summer.
It's true. I did learn a lot about the Japanese school system through Persona as well. But there's a lot of little scenes. I mean, I don't want to just recount every plot point because there's a lot of little beats in this kind of part. It's like a second act.
I just really love seeing them like watching movies, like different reactions, because you can kind of tell what kind of movies they're watching by their reactions.
There's one moment that I think is really important, and it's. So there's like we kind of early on in the first part where we see his original movie, his dad is like the chef of the house, like his dad like makes food, and so that's kind of a recurring thing. We see the dad at the dinner table eating with him, and so he asks his dad, he's like, what is like the first thing you think about when you see my movies? And he says like, oh, there's always like a little pinch of fantasy, like everything with his creative process, like it's very grounded, but there's always like one element, and that's kind of the thing that guides him to his like successful movie or the successful script that Eri actually does accept, where he creates this kind of grounded story about this girl who's like a vampire girl, and she basically just watches movies with the main character all day, and it's very autobiographical, and they talk about like all these meta elements to it.
Yeah, so the one thing out of that one, I guess it's more to the end about why he made her a vampire in it. Which I could have get to it, but also there's one in between all the movie, them watching movies and them hanging out. I do love her like calling him like every time you see a nipple, you just go, "Oh yeah," And then he goes to him like seeing it, like you did it, like he's like did what, like nothing, never mind. And he gets bothered by that. And I love that.
Yeah,
It's such like a real thing of just being bothered by one little like thing you get called out on and not knowing what you get called out on. And, like he does that realistic like conversation thing of like the awkward silence and like the weird like being like there's a weird little quirks in conversations with like weirdos.
I absolutely love the nipple line so much. I think that scene's fantastic. Also, like, so the other kind of jumping ahead, one of the other scenes that I really love so much is the part where he's like, oh, come to dinner. Like, my dad's such a huge, like, my dad loves to talk. Like, it'll be a lot of fun. Like,
I've been
join us for dinner.
Yeah.
And so for the first, like, 2 pages, there's actually 3 pages of them sitting eating dinner. They're sitting in silence, and it is so awkward. And then the dad freaks out.
Okay, it's like, okay, we need some silence, and then we're gonna roll. Then we're gonna, roll essentially.
And yeah, the dad goes on this huge rant about how like he's like, this is unhealthy. Like Yuta, like I was a creative once. I know how much it hurts to have people laugh at your work. Yuta's in like a very like sensitive time, and it's extremely real. Like this is like a very realistic conversation.
Like, I want you to stay away from him.
Yeah, literally. Like he's like, I'm happy what you've done for him, but please leave his life and never come back. And then it cuts to like him like pausing on the face, and then I think Eri is like, all right, cut, and then. It's funny because they have a joke at first, but then they go into like, so the camera changes. So
it's like he took it off a tripod and then like hit back in the
and then they have a much more like grounded, realistic conversation. He's like,
thank you for like hanging out with him. Like it's nice to see like my son happy and everything. Like
and something I love. So this is a trend. I had this on my mind. This is a trend in like recent Disney movies where. It'll be like Turning Red is like the most recent one where the movie's real relationship is about the mother and the daughter.
Yeah.
And then the father is like not a character for 90% of the movie and then will come in and just be like the savior. Like, oh yeah, no, the dad's great. Like the dad's always good, even though he didn't do anything. This is like a total opposite. Like this dad is a fucking champ. He's so great. Good. He's a little distant because he's like depressed, but he never is mean about Yuta's work. He seems to accept it. Like he had watched the movie, the Goodbye Mom movie.
Yeah.
And he liked it enough to like let him do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love this dad character. This scene is so realistic and wonderful.
Yeah. Also, then to do a scene over dinner and like not have a spit bucket ready for you eat the meal because multiple takes you might need to like fill yourself up. Because that's a funny thing. That's what they had to do in movies with like them eating at a restaurant. Or something. You have to have a spit bucket because you can't eat because you have to take so many takes.
Yeah,
you can't just keep spitting out the food.
That's really funny.
But yeah, just like he's great. Even though there's the one thing where she talks to him and the speech bubble is over his face, but it's hilarious.
There's one line too that I just love. Like I just love how like honest this scene is, where he's like basically the dad has said that he used to be in theater.
Yeah, but since he wasn't going to be successful right away, he quit.
Yeah, which is it's almost like it's like a reverse of what he was just saying, where it's like he wants Yuta to like not get his feelings hurt. He wants Yuta to keep going because he didn't. But he says one line which I love. He said, "Creation is all about getting into the audience's problems and making them laugh and cry, right? Well, it wouldn't be fair if creators didn't get hurt too, would it?" And I think that's like fantastic because people always like, you never think about that. You never think about like that creators should be on the same level as the audience. Like they should also be able to like have their feelings messed with, kind of.
And then afterwards, like, that was a good line, right? Should we shoot another take of that?
Yeah, which is hilarious. And it adds another level of like almost irony to it where it's like, this scene, which I found really grounded and relatable, also is part of the movie that we're watching. Like, it just shows how well everything works.
It's just like what, like, and like as we come to learn, like there's so much footage that we don't really know, like what, because this also could be him just going through all his clips at the very end and everything.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what actually used in the movie. Like,
so I guess like one interpretation could be this is the cut that he didn't show anyone. This is the final cut of Goodbye Eri.
Yeah,
which we
behind
are
the scenes stuff of like.
Yeah, it's not even behind the scenes because this will be like explicitly the movie, like scenes that he wouldn't have used in the other cuts for school. But this is what we get to see.
Yeah, but yeah, and then we get to like, the very the shot of her with her on the beach and like asking, oh, how can you be in the sunlight if you're a vampire? Like, I hate garlic. Like, does garlic and crosses hurt you and everything? Like,
it's cute. It's like very like.
How old are you? Like,
it's that classic kind of like Twilight had the whole thing where it's like vampires are
but good.
Well, this no, but like, it's a classic like, oh, we gotta acknowledge that vampires have weaknesses, vampires have strengths, where really it's supposed to be just about the immortality of it. Like, that's just the point why he chose that for his story.
And then, the shot of her falling into the water and everything, and then she's at the hospital essentially, and she sends her the video of him pooping because he couldn't get it with his mom.
So this is kind of the moment where things take a downturn for her.
Yeah, it takes a downturn for her. It also parallels a lot with the mom footage.
Yes. Explicitly, there are shots that are like the parfait,
the aquarium.
There's an aquarium. There's a parfait. It's very intentional.
She asks to film her while she's dying because for your character, the character needs to get over. He couldn't film his mother's death, but now he meets this beautiful girl and he's going through the same thing that he can finally get over his trauma.
And what I love is his response, where he's like, "How could you ask that? Like, how could you ask me to do that? Like, that's such a horrible thing. Like,
who would want to do that?"
Yeah, like he has already gone through that trauma, and we get she's asking him to do it again.
And we get a little thing like him kind of just walking. It's like footage of him walking it off or thinking about it on a walk. It feels.
Yeah.
Like maybe he went around in school, seeing all the people. Maybe he talked to somebody, but.
And then we get probably one of the other gut punches where Yuta on that day that his mom died couldn't actually film it himself, but because his mother wanted it, the father filmed.
Well, on top of that, he's also staying home. He's skipping school because he's massively depressed probably about Eri.
Yeah, it's kind of all hitting him because it was so vague to us. It wasn't real until this moment.
Yeah, and like you said, we learn about his mother and just being an awful person. There's a reason why she looks like Makima a little bit.
I really love the way this scene's presented. So she looks really scary, and she looks like she's about to die because she is. And so she's like, "Why isn't Yuta here?" And he's like, "Yuta doesn't want to do this.
He doesn't want to see his mom die."
Yeah, which is a totally valid thing to fucking say. And her reaction is so cold. She said the boy was useless to the very end.
Jesus Christ. And then we kind of see the behind the scenes stuff of what she was or the stuff he didn't use, of her being mean to him and don't use these shots, I look ugly, stop filming cats, that phone costs money, how to get fucking on it.
Yeah, so she
even looked like her. She hit because she had a fist up. Maybe she she actually hit someone. It looks like
it looks like a hit. It doesn't.
Because she's wiping. Either she's hitting him or she's wiping off maybe blood from a hit.
It kind of looks like that playful sort of bop on the head that people do,
but
still the context is negative. It's it's not playful.
You don't know because it's also kind of blurry shots that you don't really know.
Yeah. But
she's a TV producer, and she was going to use her illness and recovery as a documentary, as I guess for ratings and all that shit. All that terrible sketchy TV exec shit.
It just shows that her mind is focused around content.
Yes,
she's more focused about turning the last few months of her life into content than she is with actually having legitimate moments with her son.
And on top of that, his dad says she was kind of cold. She always gave me a silent treatment when she was upset with me. And but in the movie she looked perfect. She looked like an actual good mom. And I love seeing that. It made me feel like we were a real family essentially.
And this is the thing that breaks my heart about this story, because
he never praised him. She never praised him either. I'm like, damn, man.
It's I don't know. I'm so torn on this because I legitimately love this idea. It's so good for the characters to remember them well. It's good for them. The father's crying, but he's happy. And he's happy that he remembers her, not in the horrible way that she actually was, but in this idealized way that was created through film.
And Fujimoto really knows how to make villainous women though as well. You don't get many of that in Japanese media, where the mothers are usually the Disney mom kind of thing.
Yeah, the mom is always soft,
but
and
seeing
nice
a legit good dad, and it's in Mortal Kombat they have Johnny Cage is end up being the good dad, and Sonya kind of the horrible mother. I'm whoa, this is a surprise. I wasn't expecting to happen in the story of this
in Mortal Kombat.
I know, but it's a weird subversion of the trope and everything. But yeah, it just it really gut punches you, and I fucking love it. I love his dad. He's great.
His dad is a fantastic character.
And then he hits him with the last line. I think maybe Eri wants you to choose how she'll be remembered, which is. And then kind of him going through all the footage and everything.
And everything is just constructed so well, because that's what presumably Aries saw that when she saw his movie. When she saw the Goodbye Mom movie, or I think it's called Goodbye, whatever, the first movie he made.
Yeah.
She saw
It was called
Explosion Mother or something. She really saw like how he portrayed her, and I like, at least in the terms of the story that is being showed to us, she wanted that for herself. She wanted this like super idealized version of herself to be preserved in film.
Yeah, to see everybody kind of see her as like as being a perfect person kind of thing. But yeah, that's what we got all the kind of like the reused shot, like, or the redone shots of like with her instead of the mom, like the aquarium, the parfait, like, her sleeping like on the subway, like just like them like get on the tourism to like, I don't know, like the countryside or like
Kyoto maybe.
Probably her actually like petting a cat.
Them in bed together, them laying in bed together, which is like, because we kind of have this tease that they might be in a relationship, and then you're like, oh wow, that's like a very intimate moment.
But it's probably not, because he talks to her like.
Well, yeah, we learn later.
Yeah, but also just like, yeah, they did film some kiss scenes, they say, so.
Oh, there's one other thing too. Oh, we didn't mention it, what I love, but in the part when they're talking about the nipple scene, like, her thing that she does subconsciously is she always does like a little peace sign whenever there's like a really epic moment in a movie that she loves. So that becomes kind of like a recurring symbol. Like, she does it a few times. We see it when he does his movie soon, but
there's like a lot of her pictures and everything when she's like in a wheelchair, which is really sad. The sick person beanie look as well.
Yeah, the sort of final scene, it just is basically a static shot of
Ivy in the window.
Of an Ivy looking out the window, and they have this really like incredible conversation. It's so like dramatic, like a movie, and then it like pans out and we see the same auditorium of students watching it again, and I just love like how meta it is.
But also, yeah, this is a conversation like, why do you make my character a vampire? And like, you know, he said he wouldn't do the fantasy thing, but also like, you know, if I was going to die, because I wanted to die, and if she was going to kill me, I would love, you know, she could sick me dry and like for sustain somebody so beautiful. And it's just like, I love that line so much.
It's really nice. It also is like a little sad because it just shows you to have like very little self-worth at that moment. Yeah, when he was gonna kill himself.
And basically, like, you know, she, like, what kind of movie did you want to make? And she's like, I want a movie that makes everybody cry. And then we see like basically the theater like sobbing essentially.
Also, there's this whole idea.
And the peace sign we see.
Yeah,
too.
we see. I love him doing the peace sign. But we see this scene, or there's one little bit here where she says that she really wished that she could watch the movie. Yeah. Which would be impossible because she would die.
Yes.
Like, she has to die for the movie to end.
Yeah.
So she literally cannot.
Even though he is like, oh, I can just show you what I have done right now, but you know, that's you know, defeats the purpose.
Exactly. But so yeah, I just love like that he succeeds. Everyone like really does like cry. Like, it really does have the intentional effect of making everyone bawl their eyes out, as it seems to be that's the last line of the movie.
Yeah, and we see the headband girl talk with him into like, you know, Ari wore glasses, she had a retainer, but you know, he says she requested to have him off on like all her scenes essentially, and like he never dated her. He asked her out, but she rejected him. So like, you know. But yeah, she also says she was also like short-tempered, self-absorbed, and like a pretty big bitch. He's like, yep, yeah, she was. But yeah. And
he also says, yeah, you and I were her only friends. So it's really interesting that this, like, when I read that line, I was like, this is just crazy. Like, what we're presented with is totally not the reality.
And like the thing is, like, him talking to her in the library that one time, that could have been the catalyst of him meeting her. Because she could have been like, my friend really liked your movie though, and she's at the hospital right now, so you can probably go there and meet her and like, you know, maybe talk to her about everything. And like, maybe it's like, I'll talk to her, but then I'll kill myself. Kind of thing. Like,
it really like, I don't know, there's this whole idea, because when you're watching like a movie or a show, the whole world is what you see basically. Like, if two characters don't talk, or if two characters talk in a scene, you're presuming that they didn't talk earlier. Like, but the whole idea of like the headband girl maybe being like one of Yuta's friends, it's kind of crazy. Yeah. Like, it's something that you wouldn't really expect the story to go that way, but it seems
she's never
like
in anything.
Because they could have been like a trio. Like, they could have been hanging out a lot. Like,
she could have filmed some of the scenes or something. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, it really just leaves so much into like what we see is not what, or
like,
reality is.
Yeah, she could have been like them help filming like while she's going out, like kind of having fun, you know, going out to the aquarium, or like, you know, kind of like living life to the fullest while she can. Like, her just watching her have like a good time. But I guess, no, because she you know, she didn't see the movie, so maybe not. But that could be also just pre-recorded. for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You really
But it's
don't.
also like post movie, so we guess unless he's just filming it just for like the post reaction. But yeah, then we get like a lot of panels of just black, which is crazy.
So I'm really the one thing I'm just not sure about. So the last like few before it's like the end. So we get like a the end moment.
We get like basically epilogue, and then like it's literally like I'm trying to say it's like an epilogue, but also like it's like an epilogue DLC where there's just like a short story about like what happened afterwards. Like
Goodbye, Airy Plus.
yeah, it's what it feels like, right?
Well, so I do you who is this woman? Who do you think this woman is supposed to be? So right before the black pages, there's 4 panels, because like most pages are. We see like the school, and then we see a woman by a river.
I thought that was his mom.
Is that okay? Is that supposed to be his
Yeah,
mom?
it's supposed to be
I
his
wasn't
mom.
sure. At this point, it's like reality's kind of like so like blurred. I wasn't even sure at this point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Of like who is like what's the purpose of her being there? Like,
but yeah, basically it goes to black. They come back saying like, you know, there wasn't there. I didn't really have a happily ever after afterwards. Like it kind of the real world kind of sucks.
well, it's funny. So at the very last black image, he basically says like, yeah, and then after I filmed my friend dying, like I got better. Like it's very kind of like silly. Like
it's not how like movies are a fantasy. Like you
Yeah.
don't, they're not realistic how they would end. Like
you don't have like a moment. You don't always have a moment in life where like closure is real. Like closure is such a movie idea.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I think that's really, really. The ending bit we get here is really necessary.
But like we basically just get a lot of stuff like he's constantly recutting the movie because something just is not like right to him about the movie. So he spends all his time like kind of just like editing. He has over 2,700 hours of footage, and yeah, he took classes. He had a part-time job, but then he dropped out and just got a full-time job. Essentially, and yeah, just keeps recutting. He had a family now. He had a kid, like a wife and kid now.
This is such a line that I shouldn't care about, but the whole thing, I dropped out of college and got a full-time job. I really wonder if that's like a common thing, because I feel like I've seen that a lot in manga. I don't know what they mean by like, maybe he was in school or in college for like a doctor position, like
Maybe
something like that, where you need education,
doctor or lawyer,
because it
like
seems
that.
like he just became like a salaryman, like that. I guess that's the kind of the
standard.
implication. Like he just became like an office worker, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably a safe bet. But yeah, and then his wife and daughter got into a car accident. And he was the only
and his
survivor.
father,
And his father,
that's like the only other like person in his life that we see him grounded to is his father. So horrible. So he has nothing to live for anymore.
So yeah,
and he's sole survivor thing.
And he's basically is gonna like kill himself at the one place where he has good memories left, which is, you know, the factory, the abandoned warehouse, abandoned school, or whatever it's. And then yeah, he goes there. He has a noose in his backpack ready to go, and that's kind of when he sees Ari there, and she's like, "Yeah, you look older," which, you know, you gotta think how this could go. Like, what is this?
So interestingly, so we actually see the end of what she's watching. And so that's what Yuta sees first. He sees like that one scene. It was right after he came back from the hospital and filmed himself. And he was like, I'm not going to kill myself. He says, Memento Mori, this is Yuta signing off. Goodbye. And then he grabs the camera. And then presumably the movie ends there. And then he sees Eri again. And Eri's watching this film, which this like little ending, I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
This kind of like twist to it. It's definitely like a sort of like 11th hour twist.
This is, well, yeah, this also it can just be like many interpretations for this as well. Like I still think this is probably in his head, but it's trying to get, like, you know,
I'm for sure convinced this is just part of the narrative that he's created, this movie narrative.
Yeah.
So Yuta, the adult Yuta, is like, okay, I'm crazy, I'm hallucinating, this isn't real. Aries the same age as she was, like blah blah blah.
And she's like, oh, I'm a vampire. I'm still young, can't you see?
So the one thing that I think is this is a very interesting idea.
I think his dad is playing adult him or something.
That's kind of what I was thinking of. Like if this were to be a movie that he's filming, because technically him and Ari are in the same scene, so it could maybe be his dad. And we know his dad was in theater. His dad likes to act. But so the thing here that I really like as a fantasy idea is that, so she says that she's 1,200 years old. And basically, the human brain only has like a certain amount of info it can keep before it like resets, like a hard drive, she says. So she was nearing the end of like this 200-year cycle. And basically, the whole point of wanting this movie about her, which she kind of tricks Yuta into making, is because she wanted to have something to remember her former self by, as a way to create like the most perfect version of herself going forward.
Yeah, but the thing is that like a lot of the manga shots aren't really paneled or like shot like the ones we've seen of like the movie, because like a lot of them are just like close-ups of him like reacting to everything and like.
Yeah, even though the format is still technically in the 4 panels, it doesn't feel like he is filming this anymore.
Yeah.
Yuta is like explicitly become a character, like an on-screen character.
Yeah. And like she said like the Eri left her like basically the movie, which also like how as well, which wouldn't be a thing because she never could get the finished movie.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I guess she could have stolen it from somewhere, but that's kind of like a little contrived.
But he said past Eri did that, so it couldn't be possible.
Oh, true.
True.
The last Eri left me a letter with instructions on how I should live. Unless in the letter it said like, find this video.
It sounded like a story out of a movie. But yeah.
Yeah, it's very meta. He's like, yeah,
because I had more than just a letter. This movie was left with it. So like.
So okay, yeah. So unless this is the incomplete version.
So you could think it's part of the movie, but like I always have felt that there's just him like mentally coping with like everything at the end with Eri and everything, and just like because she does come off as a little bit like as her personality probably really was of like kind of being a bitch to him about everything, but like curing it as it is.
Yeah, and even that like final bit where he's like, or she's like, all right, I don't like when people talk during the movie, like leave or sit down or leave, and he chooses to leave, which I was kind of surprised by. I really thought he was going to sit with her.
Yeah.
He leaves, and then epic fucking explosion. Hospital fucking explodes behind him as he leaves.
But this one actually shatters though in pieces.
This one is like a high budget, like $300 million movie explosion.
Cool guys don't look at explosions.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's what I kind of viewed it as like just kind of him coming to terms with everything, but like kind of just seeing her and like the real her kind of telling him as it is, and just using the vampire thing as like a plot device for his hallucinate or his like kind of seeing this.
Yeah, I think the hard part is
because stress can do a lot of crazy shit to a person. So
the hard part of it is like, so I think for sure that what we were watching is all the move. So let's say that.
Well, she's also talking about despair, which is what he's heavily going through right now as well. So like,
yeah,
I think this is just like the memory of her is just really like trying to get him through.
I think so. Here's kind of like, I think there's a few ways of looking at it. I think the one way is this is all a movie. Like what we were watching, this is Goodbye Eri is the movie. Everything in it, like these are all just parts. It's like if you sat down and watched this whole thing as a movie. So we never see like his family. Presumably this could be his dad. Like older Yuta could just be his dad acting. And then we know, like, to me the big giveaway is the big explosion at the end. Like that is just, it's Yuta basically like doing what feels natural to him as a creator. Like the reason why he ended his first movie with an explosion was because it made sense to him. He doesn't really know why. Like he doesn't really have a good explanation for it, but that's kind of, I think it's him like growing as an artist and created the movie that we're watching is his like second movie, one that Eri couldn't have seen, because obviously the ending.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, it's hard. You have to look at like how panels are showed.
As I said, like my main reason is just like the shots were not shot like the movies before, especially with him. Like everything with her like seemed like it could have been like the movie, but like on him it was just like he is getting like it's just like him reacting to everything like he's watching like the movie maybe.
Which it could be done because at those scenes the real Yuta like would have just been like behind the camera because it would have been his dad that's acting. Mm-hmm. But this is like, I mean,
it could be adult him going there and actually watching like the cut of a movie and just like getting all this like response. Like it's like him talking to her. Remember the big thing because like it's like having his mom like having her voice there to talk to him, never actually being dead. So this is like him watching the movie. It's like having her there to talk to him and like. And maybe help him get through like the despair he's going through, because that was a big thing that he went through. Yeah,
and it's almost, that might even be like more projection on his part, because as we see with the headband girl, she says how she was like a bitch, like Eri was like mean.
She's self-absorbed, like kind of a bitch. But Yuta was like, yeah, she was, but
and this is a way for him to like create a version of her who is like kind of giving him the closure that he needs.
Exactly.
Like the reason why the older version of him is editing this movie for his whole life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really think that it's supposed to just be like Yuta is still like a kid, and this is just a movie he had his dad act in. There's so many ways to read this.
Yeah,
though,
that's
what's
great about it though.
It's really open ended. I think it's more interesting like what it says about the creative process.
Definitely put your interpretation in comments.
Yeah, how do you view it? I don't know. I wish we saw more close-ups of the dad because I want to compare side by side to see if
him like shaved.
It looks like him. But yeah, I really, really love this. I love the idea of film being discussed in this way. I love the idea of film being discussed in a manga.
Yeah.
This way, like.
Did you want to talk more about like the fire punch thing of it or not? Cause you thought at the beginning you maybe talk a little bit more fire punches like.
Yeah. So I think it's more just like I mentioned it briefly.
You mentioned the Star Wars thing. That was it.
Oh, did I say the Star Wars thing?
Or you mentioned a little bit about like how like Fire Punch is very more like, direct with the movie references.
Yeah,
and,
there's a whole scene where one of the characters, one of the characters in Fire Punch is a filmmaker. That is her whole thing. Like she just wants to film.
I remember her.
And she makes overt Spider-Man 2 reference with the part where he like shoots his webs to stop the train. She literally makes that pose. She's like, "Hey, remember from Spider-Man 2?"
Do you like that scene when JJJ gets the Spider-Man outfit and just gonna do the Spider-Man poses in the outfit?
Also, this is, I guess, a spoiler for Fire Punch. I don't really know exactly how it works, but because I haven't gotten that far. But apparently, the main villain's motivation is to see the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
She never saw the Star Wars movies.
Or episode 8 or something. It's supposed to be like reference to episode 8, the new one.
She wants to like destroy the world so that she can watch like Star Wars movies or something.
The Force Awakens never happened in the Skywalker trilogy.
I don't know. That's just conjecture from what I've heard. But the whole idea of like media. So the one thing that on my reread of this that I really liked was there's kind of this distinction between like high art and low art. And like people think like something like high art is where you really are able to get like real emotion. Like think of like the classic like not swanky, but like fancy pants like black and white French movies. Like people are like, oh, like these movies have so much meaning. But what I like about this and the whole like explosion thing, I think is the giveaway, is these like more lowbrow media, like your genre films, like your Star Wars, your random like stupid Avengers explosion movies. They too can have like a deep connection with the audience.
Your blockbusters, like, yeah.
They're even though like Hollywood movies can be like really sterile and like lack that sort of personal attention, there's still like a connection, or like the imagery is able to connect with Yuta in a way where to him it makes sense. Like to him it makes sense to end both movies with an explosion.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of people like love like the moments in the Guardians movies are like very like, you know, people love those because they have those like emotional parts despite having all that. Or like,
it's funny you said that because I was really thinking a lot of James Gunn actually.
Yeah,
because I think James Gunn as a director really pours a lot of like that. I mean, he's very jokey and he's very like crass. Yeah, but he pours a lot of like real like serious emotional scenes in his stuff.
We watched all through of Peacemaker, and it's very fucking good. Of like
Peacemaker's great,
having jokey stuff, but still have like the serious emotional stuff in there as well.
Even like Super I think was his first feature, and that one has like some really intense like realistic moments as well.
Yeah, like I enjoy a lot. Like his work is very fucking good.
And I really would love to know if Fujimoto has seen any of his movies. Probably. I'm sure he's seen like the Guardians movies, but.
If I seen Guardians, I could see him seeing like a lot of his shit. I could see him seeing like the Suicide Squad and like maybe.
But yeah, I don't know how you feel about that. I really like this idea that there's kind of like a blending of like it doesn't need to be like this fancy French like serious drama. Like
you don't need an Oscar bait movie.
Yeah, like you don't need to like you're able to convey your emotions in any way. That's why I think
any kind of media.
Yeah, like that's why I love how his stories with like Chainsaw Man and even Fire Punch, like they have these fantastical elements to them. Like I guess you would say like lowbrow or more genre sort of thing, but they still carry a lot of emotion and meaning, and you can tell he pours a lot of his soul into the stories that he writes.
It's like you can take any like certain animes that like even though just the genre of them are like can just hit you like. When I first watched Gurren Lagann, I didn't expect to be like actually like tearing up during like many parts of it.
Yeah.
The stupid like action, like over the top action show. I'm like it's actually hitting me like in my emotional core, like
exactly
crazy.
Like, Gurren Lagann's a great one because it seems like such a like turn your brain off, like oh Big Mech gets bigger, but it really like you connect with the story, you connect with the characters, you connect with the
Yes.
imagery. Like you can really form that connection with almost any kind of media.
Yeah.
And you see like everyone rejects it. Like the audience at first really rejects it because they're like, this is so, it's too subversive for them. Like the whole idea that it would just, the hospital blow up after this drama for like 20 minutes, which honestly is kind of a big tonal shift. It's kind of like, what's that one movie where Zac Efron, it's like a rom-com or something for like the whole movie, and then the ending, Zac Efron goes to his job.
Oh no! That's like Efron. It's a Robert Pattinson movie.
Okay.
Remember? Is it Remember Me? It ends with him being in the World Trade Center on 9/11.
Yeah, he goes to his first day of work at 9/11 in the World Trade Center, and it's like, I guess that, I mean, we talk about that like jokingly because it's silly, but
It's ridiculous.
legitimately that's hilarious.
It's literally what.
Which I think what's his face too? Yuta, I think he would say that the ending of his movie's hilarious. I think he would also
It was
relate
Remember
to
Me.
that. It
I
was.
was even Robert Pattinson 9. The first thing comes up is Remember Me.
Hey, you remembered it.
I did. But yeah.
But yeah, I really
You were not wrong about that. But yeah, just like it takes a lot. You know how someone can be really good when they can just take your work and have that emotional moments in there. Like we even see a little bit in like, I think JoJo can have this too, where like,
oh yeah,
big macho man, but you have the emotional moments, like especially with like part 7.
I would say like one that I always think of, the end of part 1 where
Part 1, yeah, part 1's probably
where
the best.
Jonathan like cradles Dio's head as they're both dying.
So, and like this
legitimately like a great scene.
You had like big macho guys fighting a vampire with stupid powers, like, and it ends up really emotional, like well-made ending.
Yeah, it's like these guys who had like this relationship. They had like a real brotherly relationship, even though they were trying to kill each other.
And even like, you know, Record of Ragnarok is just a battle fucking tournament manga, but like the flashbacks and the ending of a lot of the fights just like make you like feel like all the emotion. Like when you get the Atom stuff, it's like fucking hype, and like you want him to win. Like you're fully emotionally invested in like a character in a stupid like fucking 1v1 fight happening in heaven. Like
it's awesome.
It takes a lot from an author to just take even like Chainsaw Man. It's about a stupid kid with such a boob and like kills a bunch of devils, and then you get like so much emotion through everything. Like you're rooting for, cheering, like it's
so much of that I think is sold so well through the interactions with the characters. Like they feel so real that you start to really care about
like it says, a touch of fantasy, a pinch of fantasy in like a regular characters. It's like can do a lot.
Which it's really funny because like I feel like he probably grew up around the same time we did. I think he might be a little younger than we are, actually, which is fucking insane.
I know. I'm depressed now.
I know.
Where's my manic pixie dream girl?
But he must have grown up kind of with the same trend of like, there was a time where like fantasy, like more of like the actiony like superhero movies, they were very realistic. Like if I'm presuming he took a lot of inspiration from The Dark Knight.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars as well.
He probably had to watch the prequels.
Star Wars a little bit more like
he grew up with the prequels, like we kind of had to.
Yeah, he definitely did. I don't know. I think there's kind of that trend of like realism in like genre film that happened like maybe 10 years ago, which we're still dealing with, but I don't know. I feel like he was kind of inspired by that.
I could see that
in a good way, though. I think it's like having the groundedness of a story like that really does a lot for it.
Like where Rocky is, I want to hear Rocky talk about music and like maybe fashion stuff on his own. I would love to hear Fujimoto just talk about movies, like on like a movie podcast.
I'm sure he'd love to.
Yeah,
I'm sure he would absolutely. He seems to love movies, like in all forms too. Like not just like fight. He likes Fight Club. He likes Spider-Man 2, presumably.
Because Japan had the thing where they have like a round table of like all the big Japanese fighting game devs together. I want that with like a bunch of like the weirdo mangaka of like Araki and like Fujimoto and like maybe some other like the weird quirky ones that actually have like a huge interest of like outside world stuff.
Oh, what's her name? I want the girl that does Beastars to show up too.
There's like, it's a weird round table. It'd be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very good. I think is this your favorite one? Your favorite one shot of him, or do you do like, what was it on Look Back? Was the last one?
Look Back, yeah. So
I like this one, my favorite one so far, I think, but I haven't read all his older ones other than
they're shorter. They're a lot shorter than these.
Yeah.
I'm really torn because when the first time I read this, I think I even tweeted that I said I liked Look Back better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But now on a reread, you're not sure?
I'm not sure. I need to reread Look Back. I really, really resonated with Look Back, though, because, like, there's the connection to the whole KyoAni thing.
Yeah.
And I found that story to be, like, such a heartbreaking, like, analysis of, like, wish fulfillment and, like, how you can want something, but you can never really have it, and like I don't know. I found
And
those characters a lot more endearing.
It's also that nagging thought of like, if I was there, could I have
Yes.
done something, or like if we
Yeah.
never split apart, like this would have happened. The kind of thing of like, you're always gonna get in your head some way, but like, you know, in reality, it probably wouldn't have mattered. Still, like,
Look Back also felt way more autobiographical.
Yeah.
Whereas it was almost like the two characters were like Fujimoto had split himself into two girls. And they both kind of represented a different part of him, and then when the one dies, it's almost like a part of him is dead as well. And it felt, to me, that was like really impactful.
Fujimoto can really write women characters so well compared to so many other like
mangaka.
Most mangaka.
Well,
even more than most female mangaka probably.
There was I don't know if you saw this. There was kind of a kerfuffle on Twitter because people are annoying.
I think I've heard.
But there was apparently a study was done, or a survey was done, and like almost 80% of all mangaka are female, which like blew my mind because I had no idea. And like it's crazy because some of the like a lot of the big popular manga are not written by women, and by that I mean like the manga that are discussed over here. Unfortunately, like there's only a handful that I can think of, which is like, damn, we need to get more. I'm sure there's a lot of great ones people just are sleeping on.
Yeah, hopefully it'll allow like female manga to maybe expand instead of just doing like just do the romance or like.
What's her face? I forget her name.
Promise Neverland female mangaka?
You know, I don't know. What's her name from Fullmetal Alchemist? I always forget her name.
she's great.
People still say that's like the best shonen. It wasn't even written by like a boy.
I know, and it has very well written male and female characters in it.
Yeah,
some of those badass female characters come from FMA.
I mean, it makes sense as written by a woman. Winry is so much better than like any random.
Most of the female characters are fucking are like fantastic. We talked about this like plenty of times. Where like I
love Winry so much. Winry's so fucking based.
Every girl in FMA is best girl, man.
It's true.
Winry is great. I love Winry. She's literally like watching through. I watched through Brotherhood making Gunpla. That was like my way, my Gunpla binge anime, which I need something to put on. Like that and Utena have been my two. But like, yeah, I fucking love FMA. I would love to do a rewatch of that, but I need to get someone who hasn't like watched it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just. It's like it's hard to find like you have to like look, especially a lot of manga don't like. They'll either go by a pen name or you couldn't know if maybe half the time. Like, but yeah, I love it. I wait. And if Hunter x Hunter ever comes back by hiatus, that could be drawn by his wife as what like now. It could be like a dual, like a couple, but that's never gonna happen.
I just want him to get a fucking guest. Just get an artist, please. I want to read your story. Please make it.
Yeah. We just want more content.
Please, Daddy, give me the content.
Give me a reason to go back into Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, really.
And then we have that. Yeah, and we gotta wait for the Chainsaw Man Part 2 to start whenever. And the anime, we have.
One thing I wanted to discuss. I really like the role that he's in right now.
Yeah, Fujimoto.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I can totally find waiting for Chainsaw Man Part 2 and while getting these like short stories because he writes them very well. Like I said, this is so interesting to have a manga that can like have a long series and just write excellent short stories as well. Where you don't really something that can only really come from manga nowadays because like what fucking like and here's this person that writes New York Times bestsellers is also just writing a short story. Like you don't get that.
It's really fantastic.
You can only like. Even in comics, you can't really get that anymore. You get a short miniseries run, and you don't really get a giant one-shot comic.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you only get out of Japan, and Fujimoto has shown to do it the best. Like,
yeah.
I'm glad like, Araki's able to do these like Rohan one-shots like a lot more now. Like that he's not like Part 8's not like we don't know anything about Part 9 anymore. So like it's kind of nice to see like manga be able to do like unique stories that's not tied to like a long-term. Especially with Chainsaw Man Part 2 being a sequel series now as well, like he's like,
yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see what he wants to do with that.
Yeah, it's really great. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Very good. Yeah, I can't wait for more. Just give me more Fujimoto. Just feed me more.
I would love for Fujimoto to just keep doing one shots, but Chainsaw Man 2, very excited for as well.
If you just, it's like one of those people that like, oh, I got another great idea. I'll just pause. It's like an artist who just gets like, or a person. It's like George R.R. Martin, just be like, oh, I can keep writing this new story, but oh, look at this Elden Ring. I'll make some lore for first.
He keeps doing it. He keeps doing it.
But yeah,
all right.
The George R.R. Martin of manga. And then he'll do the lore of a Dark Souls game.
All right, well...
Is that everything then? You want anything else you want to say?
No, if you want to wrap it up,
right.
I have to go grab a dog really quick, so...
All right, I will do the plugs, I guess, slowly. Thank you all very much for listening. You can... Don't forget to like... Put your comments on your thoughts about everything. You can also subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow the podcast on Twitter. Where you can get updates about everything, even some stream updates that we've been doing. I've been streaming Dark Souls, Dark Souls 1 for the first time. So there's some highlight. All the VODs are up on the Twitch. You can probably find that on my Twitter or whatever, on the Discord. Also join the Discord. And with that, I think that's everything. Jim came back in with the dog. That's the end of the plugs, Jim.
All right.
I did get to plug the Twitch.
Great, thank you. Good.
And Jim now has a dog in the podcast room. You're scaring the dog in the room.
I'm scaring the dog. All right, we should wrap this up.
All right, we did the plug. Anything else you need to plug?
No, thank you so much for listening. I really enjoyed having this little conversation. I'm surprised it went on so long. Yeah, I really thought it was going to be quick.
Yeah, let's talk about not only the story, but Fujimoto himself.
Yeah, really great creator. I can't wait to see what they do.
You probably have one of my favorite manga we're going right now, so... But yeah, with that, we'll see you whenever either Chainsaw Man Part 2 or another one-shot comes out for Chainsaw Man Talk. Hey, maybe
wait.
I love to do another like a Brokacon maybe for the anthology of all the other one-shots.
Yeah, I want to just sit down and read, like, we need to do like a proper Fujimoto cast one day.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. We have plenty of gaps in the summer. So, all right. And I think with that we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you.
The Fujimoto cast.
Fujimoto cast 2.0. Well, next time Fujimoto cast 3.3. I guess that'll be whenever the next time he puts something out.
Yeah.
All right.
Or we dive into Fire Punch. God help us.
I do really want to finish Fire Punch one day.
I can, but then I'll be disgusted after an arc again.
It's pretty rank. It's really bad.
It's pretty
I'm
rank.
I'm glad that he got that like darkness out of him in that first one.
He got tamed in Chainsaw Man despite having a spread of a lesbian zombie sex scene orgy.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.